Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited for this next one just because the topic of conversation is like right up my alley, and I'm so excited. And when I put out into the universe that I wanted to invite people on to talk about things that were amazing or irritating or whatever, and really have really nuanced, compelling, expansive, possibly argumentative. I don't know, just the whole thing. And I wanted to put it out there because I wanted to have something different than what everybody else is having out there. I ended up getting the perfect response to my plea. And that was, this is right on my alley. Where can I sign up? and, uh, and, and so I immediately sent this lady my link, had her sign up, and within a day, here we are. Here we are. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to let her introduce herself and for us to really get into this conversation because I think it's going to maybe like change some things up for you. So please welcome Johanna Sanchez to the podcast. Bye.
Thank you. Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, I saw your message and I was like, oh, she does things different. Well, let's see what's happening here. Because I'm all about breaking the mold and doing things differently. Yeah, so I'm a productivity coach, but not your typical productivity time block and make things pretty coach, because I think that's trash. We don't do traditional stuff over here. We work with our bodies and our brains to become more efficient without piling a ton of stuff on, right? Like my whole thing is like, let's take stuff away. And that doesn't mean delegate. That means like within your own space, let's start taking stuff away so that way we can be more efficient when we're doing the things that feel really good to us. So I had
So in a
no,
way, are you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I had no idea like you had a neuroscience degree. Like this is bananas to me. I'm so like I'm geeking out over here, like jumping in my seat. It's like the best day
It's
ever.
a, it's like the universe, kismet, all the things. I love it. And I'm a big believer in that of like people come into your world. If
Yeah.
you're like authentic and honest about it, I 100% am all about like how the universe will align to give you exactly what you want. So I'm so excited that you want to talk about this too. But I was gonna ask, I was like, would you kind of consider yourself like a minimalist of the agenda?
Oh,
Of like the
yes.
work agenda. It's kind of like what
Yeah.
it sounded like when you're like, let's just take things away. Like if it doesn't give you joy, like
Bye.
get it out the door. It's kind of
Yes.
like I don't even remember what her name is.
Marie
I think
Kondo.
yes, thank you. Exactly. Mind meld. Marie, you're like the Marie Kondo
Mhm.
of like business.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because I don't know of anybody else that's like that. And I've talked to and worked with a lot of business coaches, and I have a lot of clients who are also business coaches. So I feel like I'm constantly surrounded by them, and I'm constantly surrounded by all different levels of the quote unquote entrepreneur
Yeah.
business person. So yes, I absolutely work with those who are in the like 0 to 5,000, or I can help you get from 5,000 to 20,000. But I also have clients who have absolutely made in not just one business but multiple businesses 6 or 7 figures
Yeah.
and are doing that consistently. And of course I'm working with them from the standpoint of here they are and their bodies are breaking down, their bodies are betraying them. They don't have the stamina. They can't get right. Their energy is off and they're not in alignment and all this other stuff. I'm working with them from that perspective, but I just love that you're kind of the coach of the business person of the entrepreneur whatever. And it's like, well, you've got all these things, you've done all these things, but you know what? If your life is trash right now, I'll tell
Yeah.
you why. And it is quite amazing. But I do want, before I go off too far into a tangent, I do want us to like focus in on like what was we're supposed to talk about. And that is that neuroscience piece. Can you jump off, like dive into this for me? Like tell me what your thoughts are around it. Tell me where you feel like the sticky points are. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a neuroscience degree. I've just read like 1.5 million books, and I follow 1.5 million people. It's like like I geek out about it all over the place. But from a civilian standpoint, from neuroscience, right? I think the idea of understanding how massive our brains really are and how much they're capable of is hard for the typical person to understand. So
Right.
when we start showing pictures and we start showing, there's a one particular video that I like to show people where it's two neurons, which is like the electric thing in your brain, right? There's billions of them in there. It's literally two of them, and then shooting off are the dendrites. What are they? I don't remember.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
yay.
You're good. Yeah.
Where you're learning something new and it's showing in sped up time them reconnecting.
Yes.
So it's all the gurus will tell you change your thoughts and change your mind and blah 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 and change your life, and it's like so much more than that, because every time you learn something new you have billions of neurons inside your brain that are like, oh cool, we're learning something new, let's form a new connection. So if you form enough new connections of the good thing, the other stuff will fall off. And then you can't teach an old dog new tricks is no longer a phrase that's should be viable.
I have hated that phrase for so long for exactly the reasons why you're talking about. I
Yeah,
think it's the dumbest shit and it's people's excuse. Like when people say that, it's truly their excuse to say, "No, I just don't want to learn," or "I just
right.
don't want to try something new." Or I don't feel like it's necessary, or I don't feel like it's worth anything.
They're
And how do you know
comfortable.
that something is worth something if you don't even try it? But I
Right.
also find that it's a lot of old men that say that. And that just like makes me have a certain opinion about old men anyway. But
Yeah.
like it just it is. It's a stupid saying because you're absolutely correct. The brain is known to be able to change
Yeah.
its configuration, to change the pathways in which we understand things, how we remember things, how we interpret things. When one pathway gets destroyed, that is for let's say this is just an example, but let's say that we forget how to eat because we've got some sort of injury, right? It doesn't matter that that pathway is destroyed because our brain will actively create a totally new pathway by either bringing in, like recruiting other cells, saying, I know you were doing this job, but now I need you to do this job because we need to relearn it. Now, granted, it doesn't do that on its own. We have to be practicing the thing, which I
Yeah.
think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is exactly what it is that you are essentially teaching. You're teaching or describing to your clients, to your students, to the people that you talk to, this is a new way in which to do something. Do this a number of times. Your brain will rewire itself, repattern itself, and now you have an entirely different system, setup, life, business, whatever. Correct?
Yes. 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 The easiest way for me to explain it to people, because a lot of the people in the entrepreneur space, we meditate, right? Or we'll do it. And every time you sit down to meditate, you don't just go, I'm done, I'm meditating. You take 3 deep grounding breaths first. And the first time you start meditating, maybe it takes you a little while to get into it, but the more that you do it, the faster you get into the meditation because of those 3 deep breaths. You're training your brain that when I sit down and I get calm and I get focused and I take these 3 deep breaths, that means it's time to get into a meditation. That's why it's so simple for people to fall into it so fast. It's the same thing when you sit down at your desk to work and you really want to focus. Well, what are the steps that you're taking before you sit down at your desk? Are they the same steps? Are you in a pattern where you're teaching your brain like I grab my coffee, I grab my tea, I have a snack, I sit down, I open a particular thing, maybe I put on a music or a candle, and that's triggering your brain like now it's time to work. Like these
Mm.
little things that we do ahead of time are wiring in our brain. This is a pattern. If you have a nighttime routine, right? That nighttime
Yep.
routine lets you know, like, this is how you're going to fall asleep now. You don't just like run a marathon and be like, all right, bedtime, see you later. Right? Like, we have a routine. Hopefully you brush your teeth, right? Wash your face, you do some stuff before you get in bed. And that's all part of letting your body know and your brain know it's time to chill out now. And
Yes.
the concept of moving that into business is really difficult for some people to understand. But like once we can paint that picture that like you're creating this process for yourself to be able to focus more, to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do in a faster, more efficient way, it's like it changes everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Give us an example of what you are talking about in terms of this rewiring plasticity moment when it comes to productivity.
Yeah. So a lot of people, the big thing is like I just can't focus, right? I'm being pulled in all different directions, or I sit down and I stare at a blank screen, or I don't know what to do, and blah blah blah. And yes, we have traditional make a list, pick your top three, all of that stuff, right? What are your business growth moves that we have to work on? But those are tactical and practical, right? Like things that you're taught to do, and like you have to power through it and just get it done. But
It
if
doesn't
you
work for everyone too, I feel
no,
like.
no, not
So
at all. I had a pretty color coded calendar for a very long time, and it was trash. It was just colors of blocks of things that looked productive, but I was still getting nothing done.
I
So,
think so many people learned that from like high school. They're like, if I have like five highlighters and I just like highlighter, then I'll remember and I'll do it. It's like,
no,
no,
no.
just because it looks nice.
Right.
That's why I think it's so funny too. Not to, I'll let you get back to it here in a second, but it kind of reminds me too of like the happy, the happy binders or whatever, like where you can go to like Hobby
Yes.
Lobby or you can go to Michael's or Joann's or whatever. You can find those like stickers and then you're supposed to like
Mhm.
sticker it in your calendar to like make you more
Yeah.
productive. No, it's just like a time
Yeah.
waster.
I tried to change the colors. I'm like, I really like pinks and purples, so maybe all of the things will be pinks and purples. Like it was ridiculous, ridiculous, that stuff. It didn't work.
Sorry, I totally cut you off. Please continue.
That's okay. So in terms of like helping, let's call it assisting your brain to be its most optimal, right? We're going to assist your brain because it is a computer and it's got a lot of stuff going on. So aside from like making sure you have a clean space and your notifications are off and all that other kind of stuff, when we start adding in patterns, right? Because our brains pick up patterns very well. When we start adding in patterns, it makes the process easier for it. So for my like I every time I come in, I have tea with me. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, it's gotta be tea. Normally, like I don't care. I have tea and I have a cup of water. But beforehand, depending on what it is that I'm gonna do, right? Like so before this call, I listened to a hype song because I needed to feel a little bit more connected with, being bubbly and outspoken and all. I'm not listening to a hype song when I'm going to do a 90-minute block of deep work, right? That's a different trigger for my brain. That's a candle. I might light some incense, right? Like, but I'm always coming into my office with tea. That is the process starts out in the kitchen where I grab my thing, I put the water in, I got the tea, I take a nice like deep the scent, it's lemon, it's ginger, right? It gets my brain going. Peppermint is really good as well if you want to like get into a focus mode, if you're going to add like aromas and scents into it. But different ways of just letting your brain know this is the pattern that happens before this thing happens. And then we can do the same thing at the end of the day because I know I have a hard time nope, transitioning. It's there. Hold on. I have a hard time transitioning from work to home.
Ah, yeah, don't we all?
There's no
I feel like
drive.
you just like a lot of people are probably like,
Mm.
do.
Yeah. I used to like sit in the car and not have music on and just like decompress. And now it's like I just open the door and they're right there. You
Yes.
know? So it's a different thing. Like I blow out a candle or I have a sage stick that I light Palo Santo sometimes, just to like transition out of work and into family. Sometimes it's a different song that I put on, like whatever it is, but like not just jumping one thing to the next.
Mhm.
It's allowing
Yes.
yourself the transition to let your brain know that something else is going to happen now.
So as somebody who is the like big proponent for basically getting things off of your plate in order to have more, not just more time, because that obviously is a thing. But I think what it is, that at least from like the research that I've done from looking at your Instagram and your Facebook and all that, is that it's not just about more time. It's about get rid of these things, and or get rid of the junk, or
Yeah.
get rid of just half of the stuff on your list that you don't really actually need to do, and make more money, be more productive, be more abundant, gain more, right?
Yeah.
And so then of course, end goal then for that is that you have more time with your family.
Yeah.
When you're talking about setting up systems though and rewiring your brain in this way, it kind of sounds like a person would need to do a particular ritual for everything that's on their schedule. Is that something that you're speaking to? Or is it more like, no, I want you to have a certain thing that gets you started on your day, and then go through your day, and the whole getting rid of things and streamlining is a completely different skill set?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a work ritual that starts. My work day ended already. It's Friday. So that's why I had to like start over again with tea and stuff. Like I'm usually like not in the office. But yeah, there's a work start time and then there's a work end time kind of a thing. The the ritual between tasks in during the day is easy. It's a 10-minute break. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just get away from your computer. Because again, like your brain is a computer and you have it going, 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 going. And if you jump from one to one to one, you're reducing your the time that it takes for yourself to get into focus mode. So if you
Mhm.
allow your brain to shut down and do the thing it's supposed to do, like think on its own without having stuff thrown in its face, then when you go back into work again, your brain's more apt to get into focus a lot faster. So I have a walking pad behind me. Sometimes I just walk. Sometimes I go for a walk outside. It's not too hot, but I'm in Texas, so it's already too hot. Uh, I'll sit in the backyard. I'll throw on a meditation. I'll do breath work real quick. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, whatever it is. But just having that like another little tiny transition between tasks. It doesn't have to be a whole ritual, but giving yourself that space to, close out one and then open up another one.
It feels like you are an incredibly like well-organized person, and I kind of am like, could I implement this into my life? And I'm kind of like, am I just like way too sporadic for this type of just stuff? Like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could be that organized. How many
Mm.
times do you hear somebody say that?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. And it's not really necessarily about being organized. It's knowing what your top three tasks are that move the needle in your business, right? And as long as those are done, like you can be sporadic. I People that I work with that have ADHD that are like, I can't like, I don't, then work for 17 minutes and then don't finish the task. And then do something for 2 minutes and then work for 17 minutes on something else. Like you have permission to not finish the thing you were working on and then go back to it later because that's how your brain works.
Right.
Right. So we all
Right.
have to like fit it
Absolutely.
into what's good for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but we definitely need to shut off of the internet every once in a while.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I struggle with the fact that, and I just recently changed it, and I said to myself, this whole having to be posting every day in order to make money, in order to get more visibility, in
Yeah.
order to generate more leads, is the most asinine thing. And I completely and utterly can admit and acknowledge the fact that I may not be making more money than the next person who is doing that.
Yeah.
But for me, the having to be on my computer, having to be on the internet for 10 hours a day, trying to create piece of content after piece of content after piece of content, just so that I can have my phone in my hand and like be scheduling it or be posting it or be reposting it or something. Half the time I just want to leave it at my house, leave my phone in my house.
Yeah.
I don't own an iPad, so it's not like I can say, oh, well, I'm leaving that, but I've got this, no, I, I really don't. And do I really want to go back to the 90s and 2000s where we were pounding the pavement and like putting up flyers going like
No.
me, here's like, no, absolutely not. The ease of the internet is great, but I also very much agree with your sentiments here and like your understanding and expertise here around you don't have to do that. You don't have to be working 10, 12, 16 hours in your day in order to be successful. And I hear so many people, other coaches and entrepreneurs saying that, but what you're saying here is there's an actual tangible real world brain processing reason
Yes.
behind how we can do this instead of just saying no, this is the way that it has to be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for everybody. And some people can go, 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 go all day long. I cannot. I cannot. I thrive on people, on conversations. So when I moved out here, I don't know, it's been 2 years now, and I recently just started finding networking groups and local other business owners that are close because I knew nobody when I came out here. And there is a meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. And I was just messaging a group of them, like, who's not going? And they're like, no, we're all going. I'm like, dang it. Okay, okay, I'll go. Right. But I'm gonna feel really good once I get there because I'm being filled up by these people that are now my friends, and it's also a business meeting. So work doesn't have to look like you're stuck behind the computer posting. It's connecting with other human beings. Even when you are posting, right? That's the thing that we're doing is we're connecting with other human beings and doing it in a way that really feels good for us, you know? Um, I was a copywriter before I got into this, and it's a male-dominated sport. We called them balcony bros, the 20-year-old balcony bros that were like, posting $50,000 months with working on their laptops, living in Cabo or wherever the hell they were. And it was like there's a slew of us, moms working from home, like dying behind the computer. We're like, this isn't normal. Like they're working all the time, sun up to sundown. They go hang out with their friends, and it's like they're taking pictures, and they all got their laptops open around the fireplace. And it's like that doesn't look like life to me,
Mm.
right? I'm not 20. I'm 44 years old. I'm not trying to hang out 12 hours a day doing I've got life to live with my family. So things have to look a little bit different. And it's just finding what feels good for you. Some people are introverts, some people are extroverts, some people hate social media, some people hate video. Like, do your thing. And I mean, that'll make you more productive in and of itself.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up because I think there's a lot of people who are being told or being programmed that, and I feel like I've said that a lot today, but it's very true, that they have to operate as someone else. And I think that's one of the things that I love so much about the work that you do and just this conversation around understanding like one, your brain can be reprogrammed.
Yeah.
You do not have to do what everyone else is doing in order to be successful. One. Two, you are your own person. You have your own life. It's very individual. If you've got kids, if you've got a spouse, if you've got whatever other obligations, you can still be productive
Yeah.
even with all of those things. It does lead me to a question though for you of I would and maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of have the feeling that a lot of your clients are women.
Oh, all of them.
And and, and I'm curious as because as we know and as science has shown us, women's brains are weird.
Hmm.
Just it's the easiest way to say it.
Hmm.
Not a very technical term. But women's brains are weird. We are able to think about a lot of things all at once, and
Yeah.
we're able to spider web out, have lots of spokes, and still be able to do a lot of things and still be able to multitask. And I'm curious, how does this idea of neuroplasticity and reprogramming the brain and getting you to a more productive space without having to have a whole bunch of things going on. I mean, I think I read on one of your posts that you only work 4 hours a week,
Hmm.
or excuse
Yeah.
me, 4 hours
A
a day.
day.
And that seems that seems incredible. One, I want you to tell us how that happens. But two, in this idea of how women, and this is really my question, is how do you get your clients, who are all of whom are women, who all of whom have been programmed since birth
Yeah.
to be massive multitaskers, how do you get them to re-see or to reprogram themselves
Yeah.
to not having to have
Do
everything
all the
covered?
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a I have a master's degree in social work. And
Mm.
my
That's how. Guys, we just found the answer. She like therapies it out of you.
yeah, basically. Basically. I don't tell a lot of people that because then it, it gets a little crazy, but yeah, so psychology and all that other kind of stuff and knowing when
Love
and
it.
how but also like we operate on perfectionism. We operate on proving ourselves. We operate on being the best even when we're dying, right? And
Yeah.
once somebody gives you permission to not be perfect, not have to prove anything to anybody, and to rest, it's a
Mhm.
breath of fresh air. So if I can, the one thing that I tell everybody to do when they come to me and they're tired and like, I haven't taken any time for myself, the one thing, and my mentor did this for me and it changed my life, uh, to schedule out 10 hours that
Mm.
week for just yourself. No direct benefit to anybody else or anything else, only you.
Wow.
When I did that, of course, I did it on the weekend because I was working 7 days a week, well, quite a few years ago, exhausted, burned out, ready to like throw everything out. I'm just going to get a 9 to 5 because this is too much for me, right? And she was like, "Well, when was the last time you did anything for yourself?" I was like, "I just told you I work 7 days a week." Like, I don't know what you're
That's
thinking.
what I did.
Did you hear me? And she was like, "Okay, so you need to schedule 10 hours this week." And I was like, "Girlfriend, that's a lot of time." She goes, "It's actually not. If you look at your day and how much you sleep and what goes on." And I was like, "Okay." So I blocked out the weekend. I was like, I'm going to work Monday through Friday and I'll just block out the weekend. And
Mhm.
my relationship with my kids and my husband changed instantly. I mean, that
Mhm.
Monday was the best Monday I ever had. I showed up for my clients different. The shit clients dropped off. Good clients started coming in. And like, I scheduled 1 hour every single day during the week for myself, whether I was going for a walk or exercising, or I started meeting up with friends again, like purposefully putting that in my schedule as if it was a business meeting. Like it was
Mhm.
number one important for me. And then the more time that I had to fill myself up, to take space away from the computer and push and push and push, the more productive I became because it was like all this fun stuff is about to go down. Let's see how we can optimize our day to work less so I can add more of this fun stuff in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you end up finding that when you did schedule in that time, it turned out to be more than 10 hours that you gave to yourself ultimately?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was
Yeah.
the whole weekend. It was the
Yeah.
whole weekend. We just went, I told my husband, I was like, I don't care what we do, but we're getting out of this house. Like we're doing something. And he was like, okay. He was like excited about it, you know? So it was, yeah, it was, and now I think I do at least 2 to 3 hours just for me. Um, if I count my morning routine in, then yeah, it's 2 to 3 hours a day where I'm like by myself, which is what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I think especially as we get older and that I think that's just a thing. I've yet to meet, and maybe it's just because of who I am and who I
Mm.
end up bringing into my world, but the older I get, the older my friends get,
Yeah.
they want more time. I never thought, you guys, I was that social butterfly in high school. I craved attention. You'd think I was a Leo. I'm not. But I wanted attention. I wanted to be in the spotlight. I wanted to be in a group of people. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to ask them questions. I wanted to be that they were I gained from them. Exactly like what you were talking about of like gaining from conversation. And the older that I get, I thought for sure that I would stay that way, and I really don't. And then I am like, nah, let me close my door. Let me close my door. Let me take a nap. Let
Yeah.
me read. Let me be. anywhere but in a group, a crowd. And I feel like just for women, that is a thing. And it's so refreshing to hear from somebody who has been in both camps, that
Yeah.
has been in the I've worked 7 days a week, I've worked in like the more corporate setting, I have like done the whole I'll raise a family, I'll make myself super successful, I'll have it all. And then was like, okay, wait a second. I got here,
Yeah.
I have it all, and I realized that my brain needs to be reset. It
Yep.
needs a reset.
It did.
And now here I am. And it's truly now it's like, okay, now I'm living my best life here. What for you is, and obviously the reframing of the whole thing
Yeah.
was so important to you, but when you're working with your clients and you're thinking about, okay, here, like I now know about you, I understand where we're starting from. How do you get them to accept this brain pro re rebrain program? What am I trying to say? Brain catch up with my mouth. Brain reprogramming. There we go. How do you get them to accept it? Because they've either maybe have had some success or maybe they haven't, but they clearly are dying on the vine.
Yeah. Luckily for me, nobody seeks out productivity until they're done. So they're ready. Which is it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because I work with everybody who's like, I'm burning it down. I hate life. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It'll be fine. I promise. Look, watch. We'll just do this real quick. And they're like, oh, light tunnel? Great. Let's go. Let's go down that road. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So it is a blessing and a curse at the same time, but it's not hard to get people to be like, show me something else because I've done all of the other things. Like productivity is like the last thing people come for. We always go for money mindset and business strategy and what other funnel can I build and who do I need? I want to be a speaker, but they're always looking for something external when and productivity is more internal. At least the way I do it is more
Yeah.
internal. And that's usually the last step and the
Oh,
last straw. They're like hanging on by a thread, like, oh, I need you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, calm down. We got you.
mm,
So it's not, there's no like, you have to jump on this train. It's the other thing is all it's science backed, right?
yeah.
It's not, I'm not rubbing crystals together. I mean, I will if you want me to. I'll pull a tarot card. I don't care. But like this stuff is science. So it's not
Yeah, yeah.
there's no arguing about it. Like peer-reviewed
Right.
studies, it's your actual brain. The people have been studying it for a long time. So it's not hard to get people to understand. Like it'll take a minute, but so many things in life have changed for so many people, and I think more celebrities are even being more vocal about it,
Yeah.
just speaking out saying like I always said this is how things are going to be, or this is how I am, or I'm already successful, I just believed it before it happened and just kept doing the thing and making the motions. And some people call it manifestation, I call it you're rewiring your brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Do you see there being a shift, a possibility even of a shift where productivity in the work that you're doing in that rewiring process can happen faster so that it's not something that's last on the list when you want to burn your world down and you're like, God damn it, I really didn't think that I'd ever get here, but here I am.
Yeah, I would like it too.
Yeah.
People always ask me like, "Who's your ideal client?" And I'm like, "Do you want my ideal client or you want the people I actually work with?" Because they're two different people. I would like to work with people when they're just getting into business to show them how to set up the systems and the processes and how to work with yourself. Like as entrepreneurs, if we come from a corporate world, we don't know how to
Yeah.
be an
No.
entrepreneur. Like we don't know what that looks like.
Hmm.
So I think it could. It could, if we
Yeah.
started, a movement of like, here's step one, like this is important, just as important as everything else. But,
Yeah.
um, you know, I mean, what did I hire first? An imposter coach was my first hire, aside from a
Ah.
business coach. And then I got in
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not an imposter. This is silly. Like, I don't know what I hired this for.
I
Um,
wish that more people would have that thought process because the number of people that I like work with are like, I'm a fraud. I don't know. And I'm just like, you that I think is also a programming
Yes.
that as soon as you decide that you're either going to switch careers or that you are going to get out of school and become an entrepreneur and start teaching other people, that automatically means that you must at some point believe that you're a fraud.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, why? Why does that have to be a thing? Why can't you
Yeah.
just say, in this moment, I don't know what it is that I'm going to say, or I don't know what it is that I'm going to do, or I
Yeah.
don't in this moment, right in this moment, know exactly how to help you. But you know what? I'll figure it out because that's my job. That's
Yeah.
who I am. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm meant to do. Whatever phrasing you want to place there. Why does it automatically have to come back to I'm not making money, I'm not making clients, I don't have any leads, so I must be an imposter.
Right. And if you look, the definition of an imposter is someone who intentionally tries to harm or fool somebody else.
Thank you for bringing this up. Thank you so much. I people know I am all about like word definitions, and I am just so happy you brought that up because it's so true. This
It
is
is.
why people have such problems because if we do want to get energetic about it, every single time a person says that, every single time they wire their brain to believe that, they are actively putting out a frequency, vibration,
Mm.
energy, whatever you want to call it, that says, I am intentionally trying to hurt you. I'm intentionally trying to deceive you, even though that's not the case. And all they have to do is stop saying it, one. And two, they just need a little bit of productivity help.
Yeah. I fully believe imposter syndrome was made up to sell a course.
Ooh, oh, save for those in the back.
I mean, honestly, when you start
Probably,
anything,
probably by a man.
you don't know anything when you start.
Yeah,
When I got out of
absolutely.
college and I worked for child protection, right? You work with somebody for like 3 days and they're like, okay, go to that house by yourself. And you're like, oh, okay, knock, knock. And they ask
Oh,
you a ton of questions. You're like, I don't know the answer to that, but I sure will find out. I,
exactly.
I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to figure it out. And that's what, if somebody pays you money, you're going to figure it out. Like, you just,
Right.
it's okay. We're not, again, we don't have to be perfect.
Well, and especially when it comes to for with in the work that you do currently, right? Like you're gonna figure it out for yourself because this is your livelihood, this is your business.
Yeah.
So of course you're going to want to figure out the things that you need to do. But you didn't come out of the womb being like, I'm a business expert. I know all of the things to make my life easier. No,
Yeah.
no, we didn't. There's no manual. That's the thing that it's very similar to raising children. Every business is different. Every person is different, just the same way every child is different. And
Mhm.
you can get as many books as you want about how to start your own business, how to do X, Y, Z, how to set up a funnel, how to generate leads. But
Yeah.
not everybody is going to have the ability to do all the things. And even if they do have the time available for them to do all the things, probably half of those things aren't even going to work. So you're just
Right.
throwing spaghetti at the wall, wondering what sticks. And then at the end, coming to you because they're like, I'm burnt out. And you
Yeah.
say, well, let's focus on what actually works for you. Let's
Right.
look at the numbers, let's figure it out and we'll get rid of all the shit that doesn't work and then
Yeah.
you'll have so much more time in your
Yeah.
day.
And they get overwhelmed because they have like 17 offers and like, well, I don't know what to offer when. Well, because you have 17 of them and
Yeah,
there's 4 weeks in a month. So like cut that way back, figure out what feels really good to you. What do you want to offer? And maybe, those 17 other things, give them as bonuses. But like have one thing that feels really, really good, one thing. Some people do three, like a three-tier system, which is cool, depending on your business model. I know for me, it works really well with one. And then every 3 months, I'll throw in a boot camp or something. Um, Other people like, the membership and the group and the one-to-one and the thing. And that just, it's exhausting to me to be able to maintain all of that. Even if most of it is automated or you do have help, you're still maintaining it. You're still trying to sell it. It's still you're either running ads to it or you're pushing it on somebody's page or whatever it is. And it's like, just breathe for a second. What feels good to you? What do you want to do? And then do that.
Yes.
Maybe you just want to run a membership. Then run a membership. Maybe you just want to have an email list. Then have an email list. You don't need to have all of the
Yes.
things.
Yes. You bring up a good point too about how it really needs to feel good to us.
Mm,
And it really needs to be something that we're passionate about and that we are feeling alive about. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that our brains really do function the best during two different things. It's sad that one of these things is true. I wish it wasn't, but it actually is. It works best when we're either getting a reward for something or
mhm,
when we're getting punished for something.
mhm.
And more often than not, we're punishing ourselves instead of rewarding ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is how we end up where we're in hustling, grinding sort of culture because we're actually just punishing ourselves through it. But that punishment is what's like getting us to the next step, right? It's getting us over that hurdle. It's getting us over the next obstacle. It's
Mhm.
forcing our way into the room. And I just feel like that time may have been, but it definitely is no longer now.
Yeah.
So for as much as I really dislike when people are like, go with the flow. In fact, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that. I fucking hate it. I hate the whole like, go with the flow. Just let yourself go down the river. Okay, there's a big difference between intentionally cutting out the nonsense out of your
Yeah.
life, intentionally setting up automations and good things in your life and focusing on what works, focusing on what is helping you move the needle in your business. As you said, I really love that terminology. And acting as if you get to do absolutely bloody nothing and just float,
Right.
and then everything will come to you. I don't
Mhm.
know who decided that the divine feminine was this I do nothing all day long and just
Right.
money flows into my bank account. I don't know how that came about, but it has become this weird, trendy nonsense that is tricking people
Right.
into really low states of productivity, really low states of financial abundance. Does that ever come into your world? Like, do you ever have clients who exhibit things like this, or are the people who come to you tending to be more on that? No, they were like the hustle
They're
grind,
hustlers. Yeah, they're
the
hustlers.
punishment type of
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the really cool thing in social work, we call them consequences, and they could be positive or
Mm,
negative. So they're just keeping in mind that there's a consequence to every action that you take, and sometimes that consequence is positive, sometimes that consequence is negative. So that way we don't use the good and bad terminology, right? Because that automatically
mm,
makes people do whatever. Um, but I have a training. I haven't done it in a while. Maybe I should. It's called Reward Revolution. And it's
mm,
teaching people to train their brain to have constant rewards and hit the goal and like get the goals that they want. And I tested it myself, which is funny because I forgot that I was doing it. I wanted to speak at chambers of commerce. And I said something
mm,
about it like last summer, and I messaged like a bunch of them, and I was like, I talked to a bunch of people, and nobody got back to me. And I was like, well,
mm,
this is trash. 3 months went by, and I still had it in the back of my head, but like I was getting ready to host a retreat and all this other things, so I kind of forgot about it. At the retreat, we took the ladies to Abraham Hicks.
yeah.
Somebody spoke on stage, and I was compelled to share a book with him about what he was going through. So I met with him afterwards. He was the president of a chamber of commerce. We switched Facebooks and he was like, oh, do you speak? And I was like, yeah. He's like, come speak at my chamber of commerce. And I was like, this is the thing. Like you set yourself up. So I went back and I like looked at the process and I created this little training that allows you to do this for like every part of your life. Right.
Yeah.
So even if it's like play your favorite song or light a candle or, you know, go for a walk, like whatever your little reward is. If you wanted to say at the end of the week, you want to have 3 sales calls.
Mhm.
Okay, well, what are your daily actions, right? I have to post in a Facebook group and message 5 people. So right after you post in the Facebook group, give yourself a reward. Maybe it's a song, maybe it's a little dance party, right? If you message 5 people that day, whether they responded or not, you did your part. Give yourself a reward. Like, don't wait until you have the client at the end of the month. Give yourself a reward a little bit along the way, and your brain is going to be like, oh, this feels really good, right? Doesn't matter what it is that you're doing.
Yes.
This feels great. Like we're doing things, we're doing the things that we say we do. Because what happens is, we'll say exercise, for instance. Monday, I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to drink all the water. I'm going to do all the things. And then you do it on Monday, and Tuesday you don't. And your
Yep.
brain's like, she doesn't hit the goals that she sets. And now
Yep.
that's being wired in there. Like you set goals and you don't hit them. So you want to hit $10,000 this month, but you've already trained your brain through all the other actions that you take throughout the day, the week, the month, the year, that you don't hit the goals that you set. So start
Yeah.
setting little micro goals and giving yourself a reward, no matter how silly it is. Maybe you give yourself like a 10-minute hug with your kids or whatever the reward is that you want to have.
Mhm.
Tiny little things to set yourself up so you start rewiring your brain so it can see like if she says she wants to speak at Chambers of Commerce, we'll figure that out. It might be in 3 months. It might not be when she wants it. Might be in three
Right.
months, but it's going to happen because she
Yes.
hits the goals that she sets. So
Yes.
it's just like, and it makes it enjoyable too, right? Because I don't like posting in
Absolutely.
Facebook groups and DMing people. I don't.
Hmm.
I enjoy it more when my intention behind it is I get to have a dance party afterwards.
Exactly.
Stop
Exactly.
it.
Yes. And for everybody too, just so that you know, you need to actually tell yourself that it's the reward.
Yeah.
Because especially when, like what Joanna is saying, like it doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It doesn't have to be this, $100 dinner, at the local steakhouse or whatever. It can be something as small as like hugging your kids, but understand though, like you need to tell yourself, you need to tell your brain that that is your reward because you're gonna hug your kids every day. But how about you actually tell your brain that something as simple and as possibly regular for
Yeah.
you is a reward? All of a sudden now things change in your brain. And this is
Yeah.
how it works. Like your brain will do things and not think anything of it, right? That's just the way the brain works. The brain is set to have patterns, to have rituals, to notice things or to not notice things depending on how frequent they happen. So if
Yeah.
you want to have something quote unquote minor or minuscule be a reward for yourself because it happens often, you do have to remind yourself, you do have to say, I'm going to hug my kids as a reward. And that
Yeah.
I think too switches how you go about your day because then you're gonna do the thing and complete it because you know that the reward is being able to get up and go away and hug your kid.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, it's such a powerful statement. It's such a powerful thing to do, and just not enough of us are doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's because it seems so simple that it shouldn't work.
Yeah, yeah,
And because we're taught we need to hustle, we need to grind, we need to push, push, push. And it's like that's the opposite of the way we were built. We
yeah.
we only started hustling and grinding in what? The early 1900s? In
Basically,
a little over
yeah,
100 years. You know,
yeah,
people before that, we just, yeah, they toiled and, they had to do the work and out and about and all that stuff. But 9 times out of 10, like we were meant to take breaks and sit
yes,
under a tree and, breathe in the fresh air, which in and of itself is a miracle. You being
yes,
here on Earth is like, I don't know, 100 trillion to one. It's
yeah,
crazy odds. And then you waking up every single morning after your body completely shuts down and being able to breathe again and sustain life is a miracle. Like miracles happen all the time, all around you. We're just so conditioned to think that it's just normal, and it's not normal. It's not normal. It's insane. And we have to start seeing things that way. Like there's miracles, there's rewards, there's expectation. Like life is a joy. It's meant to be a joy. Even if it feels like trash, you can find joy somewhere. I know you can.
I would not have ended this better. Thank you so much for being here. Please tell everybody where they can find you, how they can work with you.
I'm on all the social media. AI runs my life and it takes me an hour to write my content. So I am on all the social media. Johanna Catherine Sanchez or More Hours Collective, depending on where you are and what you're looking at. But TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, doesn't matter where you are, you can find me. Shoot me an email, say hello, send me a DM for crying out loud, say hi. I love talking to people. I'm not one of those ones that are like, you know, eh, DMs, you know. If you message me, it feels really good. Like all people.
That's her reward system,
Yeah.
guys.
Say hi, please.
Okay.
I run boot camps every once in a while, like trainings every once in a while, but I have a 6 week reset that I do consistently for anybody that needs help. So again, you just reach out and we'll talk about it.
Beautiful. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Breath of Life Conversations. I'm so excited and happy that you're here. Continue to listen, continue to share, and we'll see you next time.